St Cadfan's church is in Tywyn along the coast of Cardigan Bay, and I've been coming here for years to visit my parents but never actually found the church open. And I found out the reason was that in recent years the vestry floor of the church was condemned because of extensive dry rot in the floor joists, but it's now been repaired, and here we are. And I desperately want to see the famous ancient Cadfan stone, and it's probably from around the 7th to 9th centuries. And it's a stone that has the earliest known Welsh language inscription, but more on that later in the video. You'll see it then. The present church dates from around the 11th century, so it's an enormous structure with Romanesque architecture. So to try and explain this, as I didn't know myself, Romanesque architecture is medieval style that was predominant in the 11th and 12th centuries. The style eventually developed into the Gothic style, and with the shape of the arches, semicircular arches characterise the Romanesque, while the pointed arches mark the Gothic. The origins of this church go back to the 6th century, when St Cadfan established a hermitage and early wooden church called a class, and this was after his arrival in Tywyn in about 516 AD. Now, a class, a CLAS, was a native Christian church in early medieval Wales, and this church in Tywyn occupies the site of this early incarnation. Now, it's thought that St Cadfan came to Wales from Brittany in the 6th century, and he established the monastery on Bardsey Island as well as a class in Tywyn, so it's of great importance really. Bardsey Island, or Innis Enlli, otherwise known as the Isle of Bards, lies off the Llyn Peninsula, but it is known that during his life Cadfan undertook numerous missionary journeys literally to all regions of Wales. The place of his death is not certain, but I think it may have been either Tywyn or Bardsey Island. And for hundreds of years, Bardsey Island and Tywyn Church were destinations for mass pilgrimages, where it's rumoured that countless miracles occurred. And regular pilgrimages to this holy site continued for a long time, even after the Reformation, when the veneration of saints and holy places was officially prohibited. The very first church built at the site was probably constructed with wattle and daub, and the foreign churches were built in wood before the current Norman building. It was also the site of St Cadfan's Holy Well, which is said to be located 150 metres to the northwest of the church. And in 1535, the well was noted to lie within the churchyard, and it was thought to cure skin diseases and rheumatism. There's also rumours that the church was sacked by the Vikings in 963. It's also written that Gerald of Wales and the Archbishop of Canterbury stayed in Tywyn, probably in the church, for one night in 1188 as they toured Wales to recruit for the Third Crusades. Before the Cadfan stone, we have this unusual stone. This is a prayer sundial from the 8th or 9th century. This stone would have stood in the churchyard. There would have been a peg in the hole at the top, and when the shadow fell on a line marking, it would have been time for prayer. And apparently in the 18th century it was moved and used as a milepost, and it still bears an inscription recording that it was 1 mile from Tywyn. Now this is that famous stone I was talking about, the Cadfan stone. But this stone has no known connection to St Cadfan and dates from the 7th or 9th century. And it has the earliest known Welsh language inscription, specifically in Old Welsh. There is a couple of recent translations to the writing on the stone. I'll put them on the screen. but the church guidebook gives an alternative translation, which I'll put on the screen now. And at the base of the stone are the comments, "Here lie 3 and here lie 4. And yet there's a fourth translation, which is even more curious, which says, "Besides, under a slab in the grounds of the holy and blessed man named Cadfan. Here he lies, and may his body ever rest incorrupt." So it seems nobody's really sure, so take your pick. Now there is another possible boundary stone which is uncarved, called Crowfan. It stands adjacent to the roadside, I think it's about a mile north east of St Cadfan's churchyard, which I've covered previously on a video. The church also houses 2 14th century monuments. One of the effigies of an unknown priest in full Eucharist vestments. The other is a military figure thought to be Grufford ab Abba, which is also known as the Crying Knight. It's due to a flaw in the stone at his right eye, which becomes damp during wet weather, giving the impression of him weeping. And it looks like Grufford's monument provided a suitable surface for men to sharpen their blades on over many years. Now this old cello, which is displayed in the church, used to be played during services before the church received its first organ in 1897.